Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy with JBW Designs, and I want to welcome you back to my Flosstube channel. This is number 48, and it is November 11th. No, it's not. Where did I get that? I started out all wrong to begin with. It's November 4th. I don't know where that came from. So anyhow, here we are. I'm welcome. I just can't thank you enough for all of your wonderful notes and messages and emails, and you are just the best. I love the correspondence that we have after each video. I love your enthusiasm for the designs, and so thank you for watching. I'm amazed actually how many are watching now and how many are subscribing, so thank you. It's all done by you. So today I've got a whole list of topics to cover. I'm going to talk about inspiration, more Christmas designs. I'm going to do a little demonstration on making cording because that was one of the questions I had. And that actually could turn into a bit of a comedy routine. We'll have to wait and see about that, how that all goes. I've got it set up, and I'm hoping at least I can give you a few hints. So the first thing I want to do is to address a question that came up weeks and weeks ago, and my daughter said, when I started the last video, she said, you had me laughing within 2 minutes, and that's because I mentioned something and then I couldn't find it. So, you know, our children always think we're quite funny, I guess. So anyhow, this question has to do with what was your very first design? And I finally have the book right at hand. So my very first design that I ever published was called Quilts Are Love. And if I tell you the publication date, you'll realize that I am probably one of the oldest Flosstubers doing this, but that's okay. I love what I do, and I'm thankful that I can continue to do it. So this was published in 1983, and at that time quilts were very, very popular. So the second book, all of the first 4 books were all quilt related, and these of course are all out of print. I doubt if I'll reprint them again. I'm not sure there's a call for them, but I'll show them to you. This was the second book, Friendship Quilts, and these books sold amazingly well. This was back kind of in the real beginning, the heyday of cross stitch and the popularity of charts. So it was very exciting to be part of that. Baby Quilt Sampler was the 3rd design, and the 4th design was Amish Quilt, which actually is probably one of my favorites, mainly because it's worked in blues, and I just love blues. So that's kind of a little history lesson that someone was curious about. I love your questions, so always feel free to ask me whatever you'd like. So then the next thing I wanted to tell you about is I received the most wonderful gift this week. And Marie, I haven't thanked you in person yet, but I will write you a note. It was so sweet. She wrote to me and she said, I found a book, and this is what it was, called Samplers, and it was published in the UK. And she said, I think you'd like it. And I'm so grateful for your gift, and I haven't had time to read it yet, but I just paged through it, and it will be a wonderful resource. I love having books like that for my library. A third question had to do with, why do you use French words in many of your designs? And you know, a lot of people come to my videos and haven't seen the beginning ones, which is fine. I don't want to go back and look at those either. But the questions are always, I think, smart ones to ask, because let's see if I can find a book here to show you an example. So so I have a whole line called French Country Designs, and they're made up, and most of you know this who have watched me, of little tiny motifs that would go with the design. And so it's only, as far as I know, my French country designs where, rather than putting the word Santa, and I'm trying to think, sometimes, yes, all right, in this booklet, I charted not only the French version, but also the word Santa. So you wouldn't have to use the French word. but I just thought that kind of went with the whole theme of the designs, French country, use the French word. As it turns out, because I don't speak French, I've made mistakes. And actually, this is one that I did make a mistake with the marks. And so when I find that out, it's always corrected on my website. So that's why I use the French words with the French designs. Another viewer commented that she was having trouble again with my voice and the volume. And I have put the volume up on this computer as high as I can. I know that my voice is very low. I think sometimes by the end of the video, it even gets softer. So I'll try to do my best to project. And I know that sometimes I'm not sure where you're watching that you can't increase it, but I know I have had the same problem. I have watched other Flosstube people whose voices are very soft, and sometimes I have to turn the volume up to understand them, especially if they have an accent. So the last question today has to do with cording, making twisted cording. And after my talk about designs, I am actually going to try to do a little demonstration in front of in front of you to show you exactly how to make cording of any color to match exactly to your project. So I kind of have things set up here so that hopefully it will make sense. You'll actually see me making the cording. Everybody does it differently, and I'll tell you all about it when I begin that part. So the other thing I have to tell you about today is last time when I did the video, I talked to you about reprinting a couple of books that had kind of gone out of print, but there seemed to be demand for them again. So I also decided in the last 2 weeks to reprint, let me get these, they're all kind of tangled up here, reprint 5 more titles that were down to very, very low quantities or almost out of print. So I thought you'd be happy to know that, and I'll show you some of the models. I don't have all of them here. So French Country Crown has been reprinted. I think I've shown you this model before. It's actually stitched on a navy blue fabric, a 28 count over 1. And then I also did it on the cover here on a 32 count over 2 threads using 2-ply of floss. So that French Country Crown has been reprinted. Let me show you another one here. French Country Wreath has been reprinted, and that's what this looks like. And this is what the model looks like. This model has been stitched over 1 on a 28 count. I've always loved this design. I remember when I did it, it was quite fun actually to it's a little different than some of my others, but to just take the tiny motifs and try to get them to fit into a pleasant picture. So that's French Country Wreath. That's back in stock again. This is kind of past our fall, but I've also reprinted Alphabet Pumpkin because I started getting more orders for this from my distributors. And when that happens, when I see that shops are also calling for these, that always encourages me to do a reprint. I reprinted Ode to Britain, which I showed you a couple weeks ago. And then I also, as I just showed you, I've reprinted French Country Santa. And this is what one of the models looks like. Did I bring the other one up? No, I didn't. I should have, because I'll bring it up next time. Yeah, I finished it as a little bag, and it really turned out cute, and that's the over 2 model. So this is French Country Santa. I think Annie of Proper Stitcher is working on this one, or she's finished it. I can't remember. But this is stitched on 28 count over 1 and finished with the twisted cording that I'm going to talk to you about later. And I'm glad I have a model here with 2-color cording because I want to show you how that is done also. So what are my inspirations for you today of Christmas designs? And it's just, I don't know about you, but the fact it's November already, it just seems kind of crazy. It kind of starts to panic one. I've been charting and stitching models for Nashville, which I know is months and months away, but it will be here before we know it. So the first thing I'm going to show you has to do with models that appeared in a contest that I posted yesterday. So I have a Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page, and you're welcome to join it. You just have to go on and say, I want to join. It asks you to answer questions. You don't have to answer the questions. I'm just happy that you want to see what's been posted. And the reason I have this page is that people often do my designs in different colors, on different fabrics, in very beautiful finishes, and it's fun to see what others do with the designs. And I don't care if you change fabric, colors, etc. I'm fine with that. Just this last week, I meant to print it out and I didn't. Someone posted a picture of Halloween ornaments, and I think those books are still available. I'll have to look on the website to see, but there were 3 books in that series, and they were little round designs, and she hung them on a metal tree, and her finishing was just wonderful. It was spectacular. So that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy seeing. So the other thing I do on that page is every couple weeks I post 3 models, 3 designs of mine, and I ask my people who are part of the group to let me know which is their favorite. And it's always fun. People they get very excited about choosing. They try to figure out which one they like the best. Sometimes they have a hard time choosing number 1. Some people just go, all are beautiful. So it's just fun. So this week's contest theme was actually reindeer, of course. And so I wanted to show you Tidings of Joy. This is one of the designs in the contest. I love the finishing on this. And sometimes I like to show you things like this so that you're inspired with your own finishing. It really is fairly simple. It was professionally done, and it's just made into a little pillow. But she used all kinds of trims, that, except for this little one with the French writing, which I've never been able to find again. My finisher used rickrack. She used a tiny little crochet trim that I think you can get at Hobby Lobby. Checked ribbon, red rickrack, and I just love the fact that if you layer all those and you can make your finished piece look so beautiful. So Tidings of Joy, the booklet, looks like this. It's quite a bit darker actually on the cover. Let's see, what did I stitch it on? I stitched it on a cream 32 count Belfast linen over 2 threads, and then this one excuse me, is over 1 thread, and it was stitched on a 28 count cream linen. Let me grab water. Sorry about that. I start talking fast and I lose my voice. So this is Tidings of Joy. That was one of the designs in the contest. Let me move things out of the way here. Another design in the contest has reindeer in it also, and it's called Dashing Through the Snow. There were quite a few models that I stitched of this, and I'll try to show it to you when I put this model down. So this one was stitched on a 32 count Petty Point linen, which comes from Zweigart, and it's raw and white. And then I stitched another model. I'm going to set this down. Try to be quiet because the microphone picks up every noise you make. So I also stitched that design in blue and white, which is I love it because it's quite wintry looking. I think you could leave it out for quite a long time. And then I also stitched it, again, I have this series, on red linen with white floss. So it's finished a lot like the Tidings of Joy. So that's Dashing Through the Snow. Let me get this open for you. So that was the second model in the contest. And then, one second here. I tried to make lots of room for my show today. So the third one is just a little one. It's part of the Sing a Song of Christmas series. There are 15 designs. They're all little tiny stockings. And this, of course, is called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And this is what the model looks like. And they're just finished as a flat. The reason it has Velcro is I use it for display. So they're just finished as a flat. And I think I've mentioned to you before, if you are finishing the stockings yourself, if you place the stocking after you've stitched it down on your printer, you can make a copy of the shape of it, and then that allows you to draw a template when you want to finish your design. And then you're going to cover the front of your board with your design and the back, of course, with your lining fabric, and then just sandwich those together. I hand stitch them together because it makes a tighter seam on it, and then I add trim to the stockings. I have a couple more stockings to show you today. So those were the 3 designs in the contest, and I'll be anxious to see what turns out to be the favorite. And I just finished one contest yesterday and announced the favorite for that one, and so we have another contest going on for probably 2 weeks here. So let's see, I have more patterns to show you for inspiration. I think I'm going to start actually with this. So last week I showed you, and you've seen these before, but it's always fun to see them again. I have a series of 4 ornament booklets, and each booklet has 20 ornaments in it. So last week, or the last session that I did, I featured 6 designs in Ornament Collection 1. And this week, I chose 6 designs out of the Ornament Collection 2 booklet. And I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing them up close. So one of the designs in this booklet is a little ice skate. Now these models were all worked on on a 28 count fabric with 1 ply of floss. And I put these models on a very small Christmas tree. I'd say it's probably about this high. And I can get, 40 or 50 tiny ornaments on that tree. But don't forget, all of these designs can be stitched over 2 also. And they look just as cute. They're not that much bigger over 2, maybe 3 by 3. And they would look darling on a large Christmas tree. So the little ice skate, you can see, has all kinds of little Christmas motifs in it. And then a second one that comes out of that booklet. This was from a very old design that I did years ago. It's called A Very Merry Christmas. And if you study the writing in the design, it actually says A Very Merry Christmas all through here with very flowing letters. This was professionally finished. I love what she did. She put a wonderful plaid on the back, and then she did a ruched ribbon with plaid ribbon around the edges. It's really just dear. So that's the second one that came out of that booklet. Another one that came out of the booklet, which would be really fast to stitch, is this little one. This design originally was in a booklet that I had called Sweet Christmas Bags, and it was a set of 3 designs that were made into like little sweet bags, or you could put a tiny gift in them. This would be so easy to do in one night. Even if you did it on a 32 count fabric over 2, you could still do it. There's not much stitching in that. And then again, I laid this down. I made a triangle shape before I finished it. Whoops, a little fumble fingers there. Here is the lining on the back. And then I just trimmed it with a pom-pom trim from Lady Dot Creates. And put a little tiny rickrack for the hanger on the top. Let's see here. Where am I putting everything? Right here. All right, so I have 3 more designs from that booklet to share with you. And this also was professionally finished. I love how it looks. It's a tiny little wreath. And I don't know if you can see it, but it has buttons on it. I think I called it Grandma's Button Wreath. And again, this is so cute. I have the model over too. I should have brought it upstairs because it's very sweet worked over too. I love the finishing on this because not only is there a two-color twisted cord, but the finisher also used another fiber. I believe it's called eyelash. I think it's made by Rainbow Gallery. And so she just inserted that. You'll see when she made her cording. But it just makes just a fun little finish on the edges. A fifth design that was in that booklet is a tiny little stocking. And that too is just finished as I finished the larger stocking with a lining fabric on the back and the little pom-pom trim along the edges. I was so excited this last week. Laura of Brenda and Laura, the cereal starter, she posted on Instagram, I think it might have been this design, that her mom had stitched 5 of my ornaments. And I was so tickled. I wrote to her this week and I said, oh, that's just wonderful. I'm going to send your mom a gift. And she said, well, we're going to show those in our next video. So that was pretty cool, don't you think? All right, so here's the sixth ornament. I'm having trouble saying that together. That is in Ornament Collection Book 2. And it is actually comprised, I don't know if you can tell, of little holly leaves that form the tree. And there are, I was trying to see if there are beads in here. I think I did French knots, but if you're not keen on French knots for the little red dots on it, I would use a tiny petite red bead instead. And that too was finished with the ruched ribbon along the edges. And I've mentioned before, there are a number of people, including Kathy Haberman with Hands-On Design and Vanna Pfeiffer. And I'm trying to think what is her Flosstube. It's outstanding. I'll put it in the notes below. And she is just does the most amazing finishing, which, and you're probably all familiar with her, but if you're looking for finishing ideas and how-tos, she is a great resource. So I have a couple more designs out here to show you. I think 3 or 4 more, and then I will start the cording demonstration. So this booklet is one that came out, let's see, when did it come out? Just a couple years ago. There are actually 2 designs in this booklet. The booklet is called, let me hold that up for you, Be Joyful. And this was such a fun one to design. I love this alphabet. It just has such grace to it. And the finisher, I've showed you some of her work before. I love what she did. She did a lot of padding under the design itself. And then, of course, it's just a flat back. And then she used the little white twine for the finishing and added bows to the corner. The second design that is in that book is Noel. And it's the same idea, the beautiful lettering, the little wreath in the center. But I just love how those turned out. Now, both of these models that I'm showing to you, let me look at the book and hold them up again. So these are both stitched on a 32 count Belfast linen antique white. They were stitched over 2 with 2 ply of floss. And the finished size on the Noel is 8 by like 1 3/4, and the Joy is 6 inches wide by about 1 3/4 high. So sometime if you're interested, they would make lovely gifts. So let's see here. What else do we have? I have a few more of the stockings to show you. This is Sing a Song of Christmas 3, and it's Frosty the Snowman. And let's check. He was stitched on a 32 count Belfast linen. The color of the linen was latte. And the colors, I used a lot of classic color works in this, but in these small designs, I would just use my DMC equivalents. There's not a lot of stitching in this. There are a few little beads that are on his boots, but everything else is just cross stitch over 2. So Frosty the Snowman is another in that series. Another in that series is Hark the Harold, Angels Sing. And this is number 5 in the series. And this too was stitched on latte, and this is what the finished model looks like. And once again, I did French knots for the little sheep at the bottom. If that's something that really drives you crazy, and I know for some people that's true, I would use beads instead. That would work out just as well. So let's see, I have 2 more booklets to show you, and then a demonstration to do. So it's always fun to see different finishes for designs. And one of the things that I've used in the past are these little wooden sleds. They come from Foxwood Crossings. I'm sure there are a lot of shops and websites that carry them. They come in several different sizes. I'm going to show you, this is the medium. There's actually one larger than this. This is the small. And they're actually brown when you purchase them. And I always kind of thought that was, I'm really having trouble, aren't I, today? Just thank you for waiting. So, thank you. So I always spray paint these because they just seem like they needed a little more color. So I have 2 different booklets, and one is little red sleds and one is little green sleds. And this is what the booklet looks like. This is what one of the models looks like. This is over 2 on the medium-sized sled. And then the little sled I do the over 1. So in this booklet, there's a gingerbread house, a little gingerbread boy, and a stocking, which would really make cute ornaments. If you didn't want to do the sleds, you could just stitch the ornament and make it just a rectangle and put a little hanger up at the top. So that's little green sleds. And here are the little red sleds. And once again, I've painted, I just spray paint them. I buy the paint, at Hobby Lobby. Do it outside. Sometimes I do it in the basement in a box. It's too cold to go outside sometimes here. So these are done. This is the over 2 model. Again, there are 3 designs in the little red sleds booklet. There's the little village, Noel, and love. And I think those would be fairly quick to stitch also. So here is the model worked over 2, and here is the model worked over 1. And how to finish these. Once again, instead of laying your design on your printer, I would lay the top of the sled on your printer so that you can get the outline of that wooden shape. And then you're going to cut, of course, your template for your design about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch smaller, because you need room around the outside to do some kind of a little trim. You can see there's a tiny little bit of white cording. And then once again, you're going to pad your design over your board that you use, and then you're just going to glue it right to the top of the sled. So I hope I've inspired you with Christmas designs today. Some of these are on my website. Incidentally, I can't thank you enough. I had so many orders after my last video. I was just stunned and so tickled. So thank you for that. So I'm going to do a funny little demonstration here. I'll probably have to stand to do it, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the tool that I used to make twisted cording. And it has kind of an interesting history. So years ago, I saw somebody using this to make cording, and I thought, oh, that's just great. I'd love to learn how to do it. I learned how to do it. And the interesting thing is this little drill was actually manufactured for the miniature industry, and it didn't come with a hook in it. It actually was to put little bits in to do miniature doll houses. And so it was a drill to drill tiny holes. Well, someone came up with the bright idea of taking a cup hook and inserting that into the top of the drill. And for quite a few years, I used to sell these. I don't anymore. It's called Kreinik Custom Corder. And you can, I'm sure, do a search for that. Many shops carry these, and you could order one for yourself if you don't already have one. So I used to order these by the gross and the hooks and spend hours putting these in the top of the drill and then packaging it and then selling them. It was quite a ordeal, actually. And I think I got kind of tired of it. Thankfully, Kreinik came to me and they were quite enchanted with it because they could use the drill with their fibers. And so when I talk to you about making cording today, the beauty about making your own cording is you can use any fiber you want. Most of the designs that I've shown to you today, I just use floss because you can choose a floss to match exactly the color on the design that you've been working on. And you can use, metallics for your cording. You can use wool if you want. And there's the set of instructions that comes with the little drill is just excellent. It walks you through everything that I'm going to tell you about today. This is going to be quite brief. But the first thing you need to know is before you start, you need to figure out how much cording do I need to go around the diameter of my piece. And let's take one of the little ornaments. Let's see if I can put my hands on one. Do I have one here with cording? Yep, here I do. Okay, so let's use the little ice skate as an example. And this uses, I would say, about 8-10 inches of cording to go around the diameter. And then I also use a little cording at the top. So you need to start with 3 times the length of your finished piece of cording. So if you need 12 inches of cording, then you're going to start out with 36 inches of floss. And you can vary the thickness of your cording by the number of strands of floss that you use. So right here, I just have 3 strands of 6-ply floss. And you'll see when I'm done what the thickness is. I'm making this very short just because I want you to see how I do the cording. So you're going to laugh. I'm going to turn the monitor just slightly. So I have a lamp in my office that I use for stitching. And it's just the perfect thing to use to make cording. Now, a lot of people don't do this foolish thing. They put a cup hook somewhere in their house, in the laundry room or in the basement, and they just tie one end of their floss to the cup hook and the other end to the hook on the drill. And then after you do that, I always kind of put the cup hook facing up. Can you see what I'm doing here? You know, I think I'll stand because I think it'll be easier for me to do the demonstration. So I'm just going to turn the drill like this. And you're going to twist. You have to twist for actually quite a while. I hope the sound isn't too irritating. But you're going to twist until it almost starts to kink. You can kind of fold it up at this end. So I'm just going to twist. This is getting very tight. It's starting to kink. And then what do I do next? This was the question from one of our viewers. I put a weight in the center. And usually I have some keys on the end of this so that you can make this a very nice heavy weight. Then I'm going to see how I'm bringing the 2 ends up together. I'm going to bring the 2 ends up together and then walk that cording, twisting it as it's twisting. As I say, I made a very, very short piece. Then I'm going to take this hook off. Then I'm going to cut that off of my lamp. Let me sit down again here. Then I'm going to take the hook off the end here. And this end that was on the drill hook has a nice end to it. It's all finished. You don't have to knot it off. But this end that was on the other end needs to be knotted so it doesn't unwind, untwist. And then I'm going to cut off kind of that messy part. And so here I have a piece of twisted cording, and it will fit beautifully around any of your designs that you're trying to finish. I am not an expert at this, but I do know how to make a 2-color twisted cording, and I'm going to show you how to do that because it's quite interesting, I think. A funny little side story on the cording. So what I'm doing right now is to show you how to do the 2-color twisted cording. Is I'm going to take, since we have a Christmas theme, I'm going to take just 2 strands of 6-ply, a red. I'm going to lay that down, take that off of a skein. So we used to do demonstrations of this when we do trade shows. And we'd stand in the aisle and we'd show, I'm just right now taking my 2nd color, my 2 strands, I'm taking it off the package of floss. All right, I'm going to cut this. Let's see, did I lose you here? Hopefully not. So right now I have a red and a green. So anyhow, we used to stand in the aisle of the show, and if any men happened to be walking around or children, they were absolutely fascinated because it's a little tool of sorts, and for a child it looked like a toy. So the interesting thing about making a 2-color cording is that you cannot put, let's see, I had an example here of a 2-color. And where is it in the pile? I remember showing it to you. I think, oh, I know where it is. All right, there we go. So there's a 2-color cording used on the Santa. And you can't lay the 2 colors side by side and have them look like a candy cane. So if you can picture, here's one of your colors on the left, and then you're going to take your 2nd color, and I'll show you in a minute what I did. I looped, let's see, can you see that? I looped the 1st and 2nd colors through each other. So all the red is on the left, all the green is on the right. And so it's quite magical, actually. So I'm going to take you through this step by step. First I have to tie this to my handy dandy little lamp here. I'm hoping that this demonstration, as goofy as it might seem, is helpful to you with your finishing. So now I'm going to tie the other end to the hook of the drill. See if I can do that in midair and not drop it. I hope this is quite amusing for everyone. All right, and I don't like a long tail on that, so I'm gonna cut off. I just have a knot. See how I have that knotted? All right, so I'm going to stand again and try to get this going for you. All right, so we're going to use the drill. We're going to twist. And we're going to twist until, as I say, it almost starts to kink. Let me test it right here. It is starting to kink right now. So I'm going to put my weight in the center. And again, I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see. And then I'm going to help it twist. That weight is giving it a good twist. And now I have a beautiful 2-color cording here. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off of here. I'm going to sit again. need to knot this end right here. One thing I noticed with this one is that I didn't get my weight in the center exactly where the red and green came together. So the candy cane effect didn't go all the way to the end. But can you see what that looks like, and what a great little trim that would be for any of your finishing projects. So I hope that's helpful to you. As I say, there are people that do finishing videos that are professional that might help you even more to understand how to make it. But once you do it a couple times, it's just great. So I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration, as goofy as it was. So let's see. I have thank yous today. I have some prizes to give away, and then we'll be all set. So I hope you've been stitching and enjoying yourself while you listen to me go on and on. So the people that I'd like to thank today are Ray of Red Barn Samplers. She's been mentioning my videos. Annie of the Proper Stitcher has been finishing quite a few of my pieces. I told you about Laura and her mom Nancy stitching my ornaments. I thank them. Artie of the Vintage Stitcher just finished one of my ornaments also. Finally, a Farm Girl and Stitchy Linda have been doing the JBW Ornaments Stitch Along at SAL. And there are a number of other Flosstubers who have been working on my designs. And I'm so grateful when you tell me about them, because I like to go to their channel. There are so many to watch. Some weeks I feel like I just can't keep up. So I like to go to their channel and thank them for talking about my designs. It's so appreciated. So I have 5 prizes to give away today, and I chose 2 names for my designs. And if you just, for all of you whose names are going to be announced, if you would just email me, judy@jbwdesigns.com, I'll put it below. That's the best way to reach me. Give me your address, and I can send out your prizes. So for my designs as prizes, just choose any of the designs I showed this week or last week, and I'd be glad to send you a booklet. And the winners were Cindy F. and Pam P. So congratulations. And then we also had a drawing this last week for these beautiful beaded pins from Jersey Girl Stitch Company. And the winner of the pins is Connie B. So please write Connie. And then we had 2 winners for Lori's Thread Melt designs. And I had a Halloween design that was donated by Lori from Thread Milk, and also some little darling floss tags. And the winners of those are Denise G. and Monica H. So thank you all for making comments. That was fun to read everything that you said. I have an inspirational quote today, and I'll read that at the very end. And I just wanted to tell you a couple things. If you need, I have a website. It's jbwdesigns.com. My Instagram, I'll put this below, is judy.whitman. And my website does have a shop. It doesn't have all the designs, but it does have some. And it also has some PDF files there for things that are out of print. So my quote today has to do with what we love to do, which is stitch. And I thought this was really meaningful. Excuse me. When we engage in fiber arts, we are creating something, but we're also participating in historic traditions, tens of thousands of years old. You are not only making art for yourself and for future generations, you are embodying the work of our ancestors. And I thought that was just a beautiful thought, because what we do, sometimes we probably don't give enough credit to ourselves, but I just think of all the things that you're working on and creating, and it gives us such joy, doesn't it? It just gives us a sense of peace and calm in our lives, and we need that right now. So this weekend, quickly, we've got a dinner plans tonight to have dinner with my sister and her friend George, And then tomorrow we're going to Chicago to see some friends who live there, and some other friends who we haven't seen in years are coming from California. So it should be quite a fun afternoon tomorrow. Sunday I plan to stitch and hopefully do some finishing. And I hope that's in your future too. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Bye-bye.